Very emotional news. Loudly crying face. The painful secret of BTS Jimin. Loudly crying face. The heartbreaking truth behind his smile. In the dimly lit practice rooms of a small agency in Seoul, long after the city had fallen into a deep slumber, the sound of rhythmic breathing and the squeak of sneakers on linoleum floors would continue until dawn. There was a young man there, his body trembling with exhaustion, his eyes fixed on his own reflection with a gaze that was both fierce and filled with terror. His name is Park Jimin. To the world today, he is Jimin, the ethereal dancer and record-breaking soloist of BTS, a man whose grace seems superhuman. But before the historic Billboard achievements and the global adoration, there was a boy from Busan who arrived in the capital with nothing but a dance bag and a paralyzing fear that he was not good enough to stay. This is not just a story of a star. This is a journey through the punishing pursuit of perfection, the silent agony of self-criticism, and the human heart of a man who nearly lost himself trying to become someone the world would love. This is the deep, emotional truth of Park Jimin, the dancer who learned to find beauty in his own shadows. The struggle for Park Jimin began with the weight of a dream that felt impossible. Growing up in Busan, Park Jimin was a top student in contemporary dance, but the transition to the idol world was a brutal shock. Various media sources suggest that the start of his journey was marked by intense financial and social pressure. Unlike some of his members who had been training for years, Park Jimin joined the agency late, giving him only a few months to prove his worth. Various media sources and fan accounts describe how Park Jimin lived in a state of constant, suffocating uncertainty. He was a boy who felt he was lagging behind, a latecomer, in a race where the finish line was always moving. The emotional conflict was devastating. He had left his home and the comfort of his dance school to enter an industry that demanded a style of movement he had never practiced. He felt like an outsider in his own dream, a young man who was constantly looking over his shoulder, waiting for the moment he would be told to go home. The training period was a landscape of physical and mental endurance that would have broken most people. Park Jimin was a perfectionist to a dangerous degree. According to various media reports and past interviews, Park Jimin used to survive on only 3 hours of sleep a day, spending every other waking moment in the practice studio. He was known to stay behind when everyone else left, repeating a single move hundreds of times until his muscles failed. The physical exhaustion was immense, but the mental pressure was even heavier. He faced harsh criticism about his weight and his appearance, leading to periods of extreme dieting that various media sources suggest took a severe toll on his health. He was a teenager who was starving his body to satisfy an industry that demanded a certain look. The fear of failure was so sharp that Park Jimin reportedly almost faced elimination from the group nearly 8 or 9 times before debut. Every day was a battle for survival, a constant struggle to prove that he was necessary, while his own mind told him he was a mistake. There was a moment of profound emotional collapse that remains one of the most painful chapters of his story. In the documentary Burn the Stage and various verified interviews, Park Jimin has spoken about the periods where he felt he had no value outside of his performance. He admitted that he used to be very hard on himself, often crying alone when he felt his vocals or dancing were not perfect. Various media sources suggest that during the group's early rise to fame, Park Jimin suffered from a deep sense of imposter syndrome. He felt that the love he was receiving was for a version of himself that didn't truly exist. He felt unnecessary, believing that the group could function just as well without him. The loneliness of being a global icon while feeling like a failure in private is a burden that Park Jimin carried with a quiet, heartbreaking dignity. He was a man who was giving hope to millions while his own hope was fading behind the curtain. But Park Jimin did not give up. He stayed because he realized that his vulnerability was not a flaw, but a gift. He took the pain of his self-doubt and wove it into the song Promise, a verified milestone where he finally promised to be his own light. He stayed because the bonds he formed with his 6 brothers became the safety net that caught him every time he fell. He realized that the world didn't need him to be perfect. It needed him to be human. He embraced his unique, high-toned vocals and his contemporary dance roots, creating a style that is now recognized as one of the most distinct in the world. He chose to stay and fight, turning his weaknesses into the very things that make him a legend. Even at the peak of global dominance, the weight of the crown remains. Park Jimin has been open about the burnout and the isolation that follows the high of a stadium performance. Verified reports and his own solo work, particularly in the album Face, reflect a man who had to confront his own reflection during the pandemic, facing the loneliness and emptiness he had been running from. Disclaimer: various media sources and fan observations suggest that Park Jimin still struggles with the pressure of maintaining his ethereal image, often leading to periods of intense mental fatigue. The transition to his solo career was a season of profound fear, as he had to stand on a stage without his members for the first time. He admitted to feeling lost and uncertain about his own identity as a soloist. The mental toll of being the first South Korean soloist to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 is a pressure that only he truly understands. Why is Park Jimin loved with such a deep and protective reverence? It is because his kindness is as precise as his dancing. People love Park Jimin because he is the member who is always the first to offer a hug to a crying brother. He is loved because he is a man who donates hundreds of millions of won to education and health causes in his hometown and beyond, verified by organizations like the Busan Metropolitan Office of Education. He is loved for his Jiminy side, the soft, caring and thoughtful person who remembers every staff member's hard work. Fans see the human behind the idol, the man who values sincerity over celebrity. He is the one who will stay on a live stream for hours just to ensure his fans feel less alone, proving that his heart is even bigger than his fame. The professional achievements of Park Jimin are verified monuments of excellence. He is the first South Korean solo artist to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with his song, Like Crazy. Verified data shows that his solo tracks like Filter, Serendipity, and Lie have garnered hundreds of millions of streams, making him one of the most successful digital artists in history. According to various media sources and financial estimates, Park Jimin's net worth is approximately $30 to $35 million. He has received the Wagwon Order of Cultural Merit and has stood before the United Nations, a long way from the boy who practiced in the dark. But for Park Jimin, the true achievement is the fact that he has learned to be kind to the man in the mirror. Looking toward the future, Park Jimin dreams of a life where he can continue to grow as a complete artist. His future plans involve exploring new boundaries in dance and music, wanting to show even more sides of his complex personality. He dreams of a world where his music can be a warm hug for anyone who feels they are not enough. Park Jimin plans to return from his military service with a soul that is even more grounded, ready to embrace the next chapter of his life with a matured heart. His goal is not more records, but more truth in his art. The story of Park Jimin is a testament to the fact that the hardest battle is the one we fight against ourselves. He is the boy who was told he wouldn't make it, who now stands at the top of the world. He is the trainee who starved for perfection, who now feeds the souls of millions with his honesty. Park Jimin took the self-criticism, the physical exhaustion, and the silent tears, and he turned them into a dance of resilience. As the story draws to a close, let the quiet weight of his journey settle in your heart. Think of the teenager in Busan, looking at the stars and wondering if he would ever be enough. Think of the man who now carries the hopes of a generation in his every movement. Park Jimin is a reminder that even the most beautiful flowers have to fight through the dirt to reach the sun. We honor Park Jimin for his talent, we admire him for his success, but we love him for his heart. Thank you, Park Jimin, for teaching us that it is okay to be human, even when the world expects you to be a god. Your journey is a symphony of survival, and as long as you continue to dance, the world will be a little more beautiful. May we always remember the strength it took to be soft, and may we always hold the man behind the icon with the deepest respect he has earned.